Let's speak to the Defence Expert General, Sir Richard Barrons. Hi, Sir Richard. Good to see you this morning. Thanks for joining us on the programme. A surprise visit?
It's a surprise it's happened so quickly, but Mr. Cameron has said that this is the thing he wanted to do first. So he's highlighting that this war in Ukraine, this confrontation with Russia, really is the top security and defence issue for the UK.
Yeah, Lord Cameron reiterating the UK's support for Ukraine, promising it would be there for however long it takes. But he did go on to talk about the concerns of the atrocities from the Putin regime. What is it? What more is it that the Brits can do to help support Ukraine?
Well, I think there are two things that are really clear now. The battlefield is moving only in very small ways in either direction. Russia has some local successes. Ukraine has some local successes, but neither side is anywhere near giving up, and neither side is anywhere near making a major breakthrough right now. So as long as it takes mean two things. First, this is going to go into next year and probably the year after. And the only way that the UK can support the war in Ukraine is to get on with mobilising defence industry. There's very little left on the shelf to give. So going to have to put money and contracts into defence industry in order to support the war in Ukraine, or the war will just stay stuck.
Interesting, when he was asked about whether he would support a no-fly zone, rule out a no-fly zone, support it depending on which side of the coin you're on. He says, "I'm afraid I would rule out a no-fly zone at this stage." Why do you think that is?
Because a no-fly zone, if it's endorsed and enforced by countries like the UK, means that countries like UK have to be prepared to shoot down Russian aircraft. That's an act of war and would take us to the war between NATO and Russia everyone has worked really hard to avoid. The answer is to give Ukraine an air force so it can enforce its own no-fly zone.
OK. Also talked about aid for the Ukrainian people. Do you think that there is a concern that, given what's happening in the Middle East, there is not enough spotlight on Ukraine anymore?
So I think Ukraine feels very keenly that the spotlight has shifted, just as it's asking everyone to redouble its efforts and mobilise its defence industry in the UK and across Europe. And of course, money will be deflected in two directions. And we need to be clear that actually the bill for Ukraine, let's say even if it was 100 billion euros a year taken from the US and European economies, easily affordable, and it's much better than paying the cost of a war with Russia. So there's some difficult choices, but it's easily affordable. And we should remember, even when the shooting stops, there's a huge bill coming for reconstruction.
OK, for now, thank you. Thanks a lot.